find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is Coffee Thoughts with my co host, Ms. Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. I'm Tara Lena from California Cover Ups, and we're the Biz Chicks. So, we're talking about what's in your wallet today. So, sit back, relax, enjoy. And if you're watching on the replay, we just say, hey, send us your thoughts. We look forward to hearing from you. Let's have some thoughts and a little coffee. Hey, friend, how you doing today?
Hey, I am great. Good morning, Janice, all the way from Sacramento, California. Terry, where are you? You're in Pennsylvania, right?
I am in Pennsylvania. I am in the heart of Pennsylvania, in the capital, in Harrisburg. Flew into Philly yesterday from, my gosh, where? From North Carolina. Is that what it was? Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
just been
I
jet setting all
Oh,
over.
I was in Virginia. That's what it was. I was in Virginia because I remember I went by Hampton University. Beautiful campus. Oh my gosh, man. Gorgeous. And I'd never been across the Chesapeake Bay. I
Mm.
went through a tunnel to go through the Chesapeake Bay. That was very interesting. So I'm having all kinds of new travel experiences.
That's good. That's good. So, we just want to say welcome to everybody who's watching live. Terry already did that, and on the replay. So, I am going to make sure this gets shared out to the group.
Okay.
But we're talking about what's in your wallet. There was a really interesting conversation today, and the conversation centered around what's in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
How do you
Mm-hmm.
see the world? And there's that quote everybody does: um, "As a man thinks in his heart, so he is." Y'all
Mm-hmm.
remember that quote? I'm talking to everybody now. As you think in your heart, so are you. And what we've been noticing is that's actually true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. However, you're thinking in your heart, that's the life that you're experiencing right now.
Absolutely. And we have a friend that says what you think about, you bring about, right?
Right,
Is that
right. And
Gail?
what's her Carla? She says,
Clark?
think about what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing that you're thinking about is what you have happening in your life right now.
Mm-hmm. This is what I
So,
was thinking about because what you think about, you bring about.
right.
Hmm.
What you focus your attention on and what's in front of you. So we asked the question, I'm gonna get my iPad to do this. We asked the question to the group this morning. We do a call and we asked the question in the group. So what's on your mind? What's on your
Hmm.
heart? What's the thing that you've been pondering?
Ah, because where your heart is, there will your treasure be
Treasure
also.
be right.
In- Interesting.
So what are you pondering on? And
Mm-hmm.
there's two schools of thought. You could be pondering on abundance,
Ah, see.
or are you thinking about what you don't have? Are
Mm-hmm.
you looking at the other side of, well, I don't have this, and those other people, they have that, and they have that, and that's why they're abundant and why they're making it.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, they have that and that and that, but my stuff is like, well, I'm not doing that well. I only got one sale all week. And it's the whole
Woe
cycle.
is me. Woe is me. And it makes me think. Now I am sitting outside, and as you can see behind me, look at those beautiful gardens and things. Now, if I look over at the neighbor has a pool. So I don't have a pool. So now I'm not tripping because I don't have a pool. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
Some people would be tripping. Well, I'm not doing as successful as they are because I don't have a pool.
And now I don't have a hot tub. But you have a sunroom, you have a patio, you have, you know what I mean? People, can we count the wins? Can we celebrate the wins?
And if you can't see the wins, you won't be able to celebrate the wins. And the reason why we may not see the wins is because of what's in our heart.
What's
What's
a wallet?
what's in our heart, what's surrounding us around. And you can't see the wins because you perceived
Mm,
losses.
yes.
It's perceived. It's not necessarily that you don't have it. It's not that you don't it's not there. It's perceived. It's your perception of it.
Mm-hmm.
You perceive like, okay, you we asked somebody, so how many, sales did you have?
Yes.
Well, I might have had a couple, but then when we asked, okay, go back and look at your register on your receipt. Another reason why you need to track your
Sales
movement.
and
Yes, track your sales. If you're tracking your sales, and when they looked at the numbers, they had quite
mm-hmm.
a few more sales than what they thought. But a perception of something that was in their heart prevented them from seeing the outcome. So there's two definitions. One is poverty, and I'm going to give
Mm,
you the acronyms. And this all came about because we do a class on Sunday and on Tuesday. It's called Smart Money Management, and one of the instructors in the class, she had been doing a study, and she looked up the word prosperity.
mm,
It
mm-hmm.
meant to go up, to increase, to promotion. It meant promotion, increase, development, growth.
Okay.
That was the word for prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
She also looked up the word for poverty.
Mm.
That meant demotion,
Uh,
deficiency, defeat, decline. We've all seen neighborhoods in decline.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're heading downward. They might have once been affluent, or, but they were heading on a decline.
Well, every neighborhood starts out new, right? And shiny. It's just like a new bicycle.
Right. But some neighborhoods stay new and
And,
shiny.
and some increase in value.
Right. Then there are others who decline. And it's because, and see, in the neighborhood, it's not the neighborhood itself, it's the mentality of the people
Uh,
who are in the neighborhood, whether that neighborhood is going to promote, grow, increase, or it's going to decline, be deficient, and go the other way.
mm-hmm.
That is based on the mentality of the people who are in the neighborhood.
Oh,
So, so they talk about gentrification. Not a bad thing.
do we
It
need to
is.
go down the road?
We need to look at the dictionary of the dictionary. Let's look up the word and see what it means, because uh, people think it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the definition is the process of renovating and improving a house or district so that it conforms to middle class taste.
Okay.
So that means bringing something up. It didn't mean that it, it meant
Does
improvement.
does it mean to regenerate?
It's a process. I'm just reading these two things here.
Uh,
Let's talk about it. Gentrification is the process of changing the character of a neighborhood through the influx and it on urban socio. I don't want urban socio. I want a dictionary. So let me get it from the dictionary.
mm-hmm. Huh? Who do we have? What? Who do we have watching today? Do we have anybody
Well, we
watching
got
today?
Janice over there kicking in, and Janice and her husband will be out tonight at
Oh,
First
nice.
Monday. Michael Rowe will be coming to talk to us a little bit. So if you were here, First Monday is coming up at Seasons 52. So yeah, we need to talk, and you need to hear what he has to say. So Janice is saying negative thoughts brings negativity around you, and
Right.
positive brings positive. And then she's asking, do you measure your success by what you have or what others have?
You see, there you go. Because I can't. I really can't see the conversation, guys. So, um, you're
It's
gonna have.
okay. Yeah, you can't even look at it on your phone.
I
So
can't.
the process of renovating and improving a house or district so that it conforms to middle class taste,
Mm-hmm.
meaning um, the process of making a person or activity more refined or polite.
Mm.
So it's a change. Okay, how about gentrification is change, an upward change? I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an upward change. So maybe we need to get gentrification in our minds
See.
in order to do that, because your environment, just like Janet says, negative thoughts bring negativity around you.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're going to change that, then you're going to need to change what those thoughts. How do you change a negative thought? Thought
Mm-hmm.
from your environment. If you are
Absolutely.
watching, if you're watching we're never going to make it, and we're going, all the world and our society is going to hell in a handbasket all day, that's what you're going to be programmed for. And you will only see the negative. You will only see decline and woe and all of that. But on the other hand, there are people who don't see that. They only see abundance. They see increase. They see growth. They see next level. What's the difference between the two people?
Well, I think the difference is what they're looking at, what they've seen, and do they, if they've never seen it before, do they recognize it when they do see it? And I'm going to give you an example now. When I was traveling, and I talked about this earlier today, I was not able to get on the plane I wanted to get on. And that meant I was going to probably spend the better portion of the day at the airport. But then I sat down and I rested my mind and I went over and looked at the board, and there were flights every hour going to a different destination where I had connections that would allow me to travel, and be there in an hour. So I was able to switch my plans. But then the thing was, I had to trust that there would be provision for me at my destination because I had no luggage. My luggage had gone on to the original destination, and I could have panicked and had them send the luggage, because they'll reroute your luggage. But I was like, no, I'm going to try this without um, the luggage. I'm just going to trust them. I got my purse. I got, you know what I mean? My ID. And now I'm here and everything's provided. Everything is provided because I kept going,
Forward.
and and I was willing to be flexible with my plans.
And so you kept moving forward, and you didn't panic, and you didn't, oh my God, I don't have it, and la 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 la. What am I gonna do?
Luggage, and I gotta have my makeup, and just tied to stuff that might be hindering our success.
Janice says, Janice said, I don't like where I live. Oh, I don't like where I live. So you can tell by looking at the house. When I decided to change that and start fixing up the house, things changed to a more positive. I enjoy perfect. You can tell where a person's mind by their car and their home. Sorry, y'all.
Mhm.
And by the car
Yeah,
and the house.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because when your mind is, what would you call it? Clogged up with different views that are not positive. It's sort
Right,
of like a library, Francine, when you're checking out books. If all the books are negative, you're probably going to get a negative result.
right.
But there's positive books on the shelf too.
And the negative experience. And Mark, I like Mark's comment here. Mark says success, no matter how it is defined, is a product of conditioning. That's your environment, that's your culture. Aligning thoughts, words, and actions with clear vision, definition of success.
Mm.
Gratitude, disciplining of thought, and directing your faith, not having it, we all have it. Either expectation of good or bad is imperative. If you are always expecting bad, you're going to have bad. Everything you see will be bad. Positivity, uh, prosperity isn't, we talk about that. It is improvement, it is growth, it is um, promotion,
Up.
it's upward. Poverty is demotion, it's
Mhm.
decline, it's um,
You
uh,
know what? I attended a church when I was on vacation that was named Upward. And they're in like three or four locations around the country.
right.
And
And whatever you call yourself is really key too. So if I'm going to call myself something, upward would be good.
would be a good thing.
Right. So, but we get to choose what track we're going to be on, right?
Absolutely.
We
Yes.
can we can go like Mark said, we can align our words and our actions with those of success, which means you
Hmm.
may need to change your environment.
Okay.
An environment includes what you're listening to, what you watch, the people you hang with, um, and the culture you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay. So if you don't like where you are, you can do something about that. You have choices to put,
You
and
really,
the whole, go
really
ahead.
do. You really, really do have choices, Fran. I think a lot of times because we don't haven't seen other things, we don't know what the choices are. So you need to get out and see new things
Right. Whatever is in your heart is in your wallet.
because where your treasure is, or
Where
where
your
your heart,
heart is.
there your
So
treasure will be.
whatever your wallet is a reflection of what's in your heart. You don't believe it, it's not going to be there. I don't.
And doesn't that make sense? Because when you're making decisions with your wallet, they're coming from your heart. So our wallet is a reflection of all the decisions we've made, which came from in here,
So
from up here.
right, right. Well, because your heart is actually up here, your mind, your will, and your motion is all up here. So what are you doing? What what are you, what choice did you make?
Have you ever asked yourself? I know there are times I say to myself, Terry, what are you doing? I mean, really, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What were you thinking? And how can we fix this?
Right. And Mark has another good comment here. Western definition is often too focused on the what. What are you doing at the expense of who are you being? Even
Mm-hmm.
though who you are being directly affects how you are doing what you're doing. So, a key question is, who do you want to be, and how will you evaluate your success in that capacity? Mark is
On
Very
it today.
philosophical today.
I love it. Well stated, Mark.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark, I had no idea that this is your work. Your work. Normally, you got jokes, but today these two things are on point.
You need to tell us more about your work.
Right. We need to
Because
know more about your work.
we love your humor. We know you
Right.
for your humor, Mark, but you're a deep individual coming out here today.
Yes, it's coffee. That well, maybe he had his coffee
Oh,
today.
because it's copy thoughts, right?
Right. It, but it is very good thoughts. Who are you? A lot of people don't know, and you are a. I know I just jumped tracks, and so I just jumped to track. You are
Okay.
a humble. You are a combination. You are a direct result of your culture, your
Mm-hmm.
environment, wherever you've been hanging out, whatever you were exposed to, the school of thought that you were exposed to when you were growing up, if you
Mm-hmm.
didn't change that, you
You
still
know,
got
something I've
all of those little things hanging on.
yeah, I don't know what it is to have lack. And so when I experienced it, I knew I did not want to live there. All the who's and who's were, hey, we out of here. I can't, you know what I mean?
And Mark said he is a life strategist since 1998.
Ah, I like
Nice,
that.
Mark.
Oh, wow. A life
Right.
strategy. I like it.
Now I got a question for you, Mark. Are you camera ready and you want to come on and tell us what a life strategist is? I can send you a link if you are camera ready because I'm interested. And I think the people watching would be interested too because
Hmm.
a lot of times we're trying to okay, so I keep talking about the six figure thing, people running after six figures, but their
Mm.
mindset is one figure or no figures.
Or their health is suffering as a result. You know, what good is it to have all this wealth and not be well enough to enjoy it?
Well, I'm going with Mark. A lot of times they don't know who they are. They're trying to be everyone else. They're trying to be the six-figure person when they haven't figured out who they are. And they
Hmm.
can't and but they're doing other people's stuff and it's a disconnect from who they really are.
Oh, the armor doesn't fit.
No. And they walking and it's clunking around and it's not working and it's they're expending a great deal of energy in their life on somebody else's path. They're not wired for that
Wow.
because they never figured out who they really were.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Well, I like that description life strategist because then it sounds like we are working together. You know what I'm saying? To strategize for my life. As
Okay,
because some
Mark, I'm going to he said he could do that. So I am going to drop this over on Messenger for him. It'll be in your message, Mark. Um,
because
go ahead, Terry, with your thought.
Francine, we are asked to build a life for people. People expect because we do business coaching that we're just going to do the work. That they all they have to do is hire us and we make it happen. No, we're there to help you find solutions, methods, make it easy for you to prosper, show you what button to push. But you see, and so I like the term strategist because we're figuring out strategies, and that's why we use the term tips and tools to help you do business better. So, guys, if you're looking for someone to help you brainstorm that, it sounds like Mark's the man. He's going to be coming in here soon. Wow.
Yeah. So, Mark, I need you to tell me because there's a lot of Mark Wards over there. I'm looking to see. I think we're friends.
Ah, okay. How do we get this to you?
Yeah. So, um, Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm not seeing. Well, let me look, and maybe I'm not looking in the right place. How about that? Da, 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 da. So, Terry, how's your vacation going?
Well, I want you guys to know that I am really thrilled with my vacation. I'm going to flip the camera here and see what happens. See if we can you
Oh,
see
that's
that?
nice.
Yep. And see, that's the neighbor's patio over there. This is our patio. And I'm just going to take you on a little virtual tour while Francine gets in touch with Ward, Mark
Oh, there
Ward.
he is. Now I know what you look like. Okay, because I couldn't see it. Okay,
This is the
Janice, thank you. Janice has to go. So, okay, Mark, I see what you look like now because it wasn't showing up on here.
Isn't this gorgeous? I am very relaxed. This was my choice when I had a chance to choose a different place to go. I routed myself to Pennsylvania and I'm here at my brother's. And I'm just going to walk you around this house and let you enjoy the view while we bring in others. There is so much prosperity in this country, and sometimes we just don't stop to celebrate it.
No,
we just
and
we
people
just
complain.
celebrate all the time, girl.
Okay, we
You
just
know
need
what
to
our
stop the complaint. Okay, Mark, I put it in there with. Oh, that's pretty. I put it in. I put it in the chat for you, Mark, or in the yeah. I replied to you on the chat. I didn't know you were in Chicago.
Vacation with the family,
Terry,
and
you
they gave me
did,
keys to the rental car. Go pick.
okay, did you walk away from
I get in the
did
rental
you
car
walk away from your phone?
and realize. Let's see, flip the camera back and realize that I don't know how to start this rental car. I thought I did, and I am pressing the start button, putting my foot on the gas. Car doesn't start because on the screen it tells you press the brake and start the car. So I'm pressing the brake and then I'm pressing the button. I had to call my daughter, who was up because I was at the restaurant, who was up at the condo, and she said, "No, mom, you got to put your foot on the brake and press the button at the same time." That little bit of information made all the difference as to whether or not I could get to my destination. I said, "What an object lesson for us that sometimes we just don't, as Fran says, have enough information. We're missing that one little piece
Yeah, we got
that
Mark.
that determines ultimate success." So I learned something on my vacation. Hey, Mark,
Hey
it's
there.
good to see you.
You can tell
Can
that
Hey.
you hear him?
I wasn't really prepared, but I thought, well, whatever.
Do
Okay,
we have
yes,
audio?
we appreciate it though. That life strategy thing is intriguing. Um, tell us more.
Well, what would you like to know?
Well, you mentioned something that was really profound about finding out who you are,
Right.
not
Well,
necessarily what you do.
Mm-hmm.
well, I think you can't fully succeed in one without the other. So one thing that I found in my work, because my work essentially is helping people define success in some measurable capacity and then working with them to create the strategies that ensure they actually achieve it. Um,
Hmm.
but one of the things that I found is there are many people who they are dissatisfied with their life as it is, but when you ask them, what do you want? Sometimes that blank page is overwhelming for people because some people are plagued by this idea of the right answer. So they're frozen. So, what I discovered in doing this work for so many years is that if you can start out by getting people to define who they are, who they want to be today, and how they will define their success in that capacity today, then eventually the rest will reveal itself.
Oh,
Because
so
what you
Okay, here we go.
who you are has everything to do with how you do what you do. Because when you go to work, for example, all of you shows up, whether you want it to or not. So if you are not aligning those two worlds, whatever has sabotaged you in the past is going to sabotage you again. So you have to align thoughts, words, and actions.
wow. Terry will be back. She had to.
Something
She's
I said.
yeah, remote, and something is happening on her device or whatever, so she's in and out. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So aligning who you are with what you do. But if you
Hmm.
don't know who you are, it's going to be difficult when you try to do something because you don't know like what you do or what you want or who you are. Like I had to discover who I was. I do not like Neapolitan ice cream. But I had to know that, and or you're liking something because somebody else likes it, but who are you really?
Well, and I think that people underestimate the power of their choice. And one of the things that this process actually helps people do is to realize the relationship between the experience that is your life and the choice that you make. Because when you start to make the choice consciously rather than living by default, you're able to see how the world around you and the universe responds to the power of your choice. So that you begin to see that the world is not perhaps as adversarial as you thought it was, but it's actually been responding to your choices. It's just that your choices in the past were perhaps unconscious and were not serving you.
Mm, that's good, and
See?
but it's necessary that people think about that. I'm just thinking about. I was going to say remunerate, but I am not going to use big words today. I'm thinking about how people are running their lives right
Hmm.
now, and they're jumping from strategy and tactic, and they're running after something for them to get something, but they are doing it in a lot of times contrary to who they really are.
Right,
Okay.
and the other thing is, a lot of people compartmentalize. For example, I will have people that come to me for vocational coaching. I don't do
Yes.
that. The only way that I will do that is you have to let me into every area of your life because I feel that you are not best served if I'm not doing that because you're trying to create a life, not an existence, and your life has more
Hmm.
to do than just your job. So, and one of the things I will always push back from people is people will talk about balance, balance. I want to create a life of balance. This is the biggest form of self sabotage. There's no such thing. What does that mean? How many people do you know that spend the same amount of time in their work as in their outside life? Nobody. So balance is automatic sabotage. It's about harmony. How do I create a life where all of the pieces of my life are working together to create the life that I desire, the life that I envision, a life of joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well, I think, Mark, sometimes we think it's the same thing when we're talking in terms of that. We know we spend more time, usually at work if we're in a career mode or whatever,
Mhm.
or more time at a hobby, whatever it is we spend the most time with. But like you said, we want it to all work together. We want it to all come out to weigh 100%. We know the scales will not always go like this, depending on the age, stage, what's going on.
Right.
So I think we use the term incorrectly. I think we're talking about the same thing. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do, and I think that words are important
They are important.
because if you are striving for balance, then I think that a lot of people tend to feel a lot of stress and anxiety because they don't see the balance. But it's not about the time, it's about
Yes.
how you're feeling in regards to what it is you're trying to create. And that is not all things are not equal, because all things are not as important to you.
Exactly.
And then that's where people are, well, I have to have balance because that's what they say. And
Right.
there's a lot of they that keeps talking to people, and who are they?
Exactly. And when they pay my bills, I'll listen to them.
I love it. That's the way I feel. When people are ready to write a check, then we can talk. But
Right.
but I think the whole thing, like you said, the words matter, and also the definitions of the words, friend, because you started out with that. You know what I'm saying? And so every
Right,
once in a while, to check in with people to make sure we're saying the same thing with our words and our meanings.
Right.
right. And I'm for everybody having an upward trajectory, moving up, and prosperity is moving up. It doesn't necessarily mean dollars. It just means improvement and
Right.
growth and promotion. If we're going in that direction, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're
Yeah.
in decline, defeat, decay, that's all poverty. That's where that's heading. And I'm like, we might need to change the trajectory. What am I listening to that makes me feel like
Mm.
this?
And
Well,
it's okay.
this
What
is
am I
why every client that I work with, one of the requirements in my work, and they have to agree to it before we will go forward. And there is a lot of resistance on this, actually, because it is a little touchy feely for some of my people. But they have to do a gratitude journal. That is a requirement of the work, and the way that I do it, which is, relatively traditional from what you hear. But 5 things that you are grateful for specific to that day. So they cannot be global things like my family. It's got to be. It could be, my daughter did the dishes, or that pizza that I had for lunch, which was, so delicious. All of those things, uh, every single day, because we have a tendency in society, by virtue of the way society is constructed, to always be focusing on what is not. And if you're
Mhm.
always focusing on what is not, then you will not see success when it shows up at your door.
You won't recognize it. You say, "Who
That's
is
You
right.
can't
this?"
you can't see it. And that is what we were talking about earlier. We were working with somebody and they couldn't see the wins, because we encourage people, celebrate your wins. And I
Right.
have a thing where you write it down, where you write down your wins for the day, which is the gratitude journal. But if you can't see the win, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to write it down.
Exactly.
No.
And it
And
is
how
it is a process of conditioning, because I don't think people realize how conditioned they are to always be focusing on what is not, and on lack, and on limitation. For me personally, because I was that person, because when I was a consultant out in the corporate world, I was paid for being able to see inefficiency, which was
Mm.
great. I was good at my job, but it trickled over into my real life, and that's not good. So for me, it took a year and a half of doing that gratitude journal every day before there was a shift. And it
wow.
wasn't until other people started telling me, that knew me, what have, you've changed. Like, what have you been doing? Before I even realized myself that I'd started to shift. I started to feel different. And when you start to feel different about your life, guess what? Your life starts to look different as well.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
liking? You said you left that environment, and you were
Mm.
paid to look for the bad, or look for what wasn't working, not
Right,
necessarily bad, but what's not working. And
right.
that's where you focused your time. And I need to hear the people listening to this live and on the replay, where you focus your time is where you're going to end up.
Absolutely.
It,
Absolutely.
it, if you are focused focusing on what's not going to work and whatever, you're not going to have a nice outcome, even though you know another outcome is possible.
Right. And here's where, and I'm sure you ladies experience this as well, where a lot of resistance bubbles up is where people will defend their limitations rather than advocating their possibilities. And one of the reasons for this is people feel like the suggestion of that notion is to deny the pain of their present experience. And it's not that. It's both and. So this is one reason why affirmations in the traditional capacity, in my experience, do not often work for a lot of people in the way that people do them. Because you can, for example, affirm, I am prosperous, I am prosperous, I am prosperous, but if there's no money in your bank account, your unconscious mind says, are you out of your mind? Have you looked at your bank balance? And that conflict, that argument will actually create more evidence of that lack. You will have more of that experience. However, what you can do is state the reality of your current experience. I am feeling whatever that is, and I am choosing to believe that. If you get in the habit of doing that, then you are honoring the reality of your current experience, but you are directing your faith and your expectation to the power of your choice of that which you want. And your mind will not argue that.
Right. And that is so necessary.
Yes.
For many people.
Yes.
Because you see, and it's not good to compare yourself with other people, but the others or people who are quote unquote successful, what are they thinking about?
Right.
Because you want what they have, or some people, I'm not going to say you, people want what they see other people have, but they haven't put their mind in a different place. They want the outward without doing the inward work.
Well, the other thing too is that people don't know the price of the oil. You know what I'm saying? They really don't know what it took to get there. They don't know if that person's been through some things. They just see what they perceive to be the overnight success.
That wasn't overnight.
Right.
But the other person has a different mindset as well. They and like Mark said, they come from a different place. And it's amazing to me how many people who are in corporate doing other things, they decided, nope, that's not working. I need to make a shift.
Too much. Yeah.
To experience what I really want to experience in life. So it's not necessarily leaving non-paying stuff. It may be leaving something that pays really well to get you where you need to be.
To do what you want, what designed to do.
Well, and here's the thing too. This notion that that your passion needs to be your vocation is ridiculous. My perspective, however, is that if your passion is not your job, then your job should be paying for it.
Right. So that you're happy.
Fund the dream.
Yes, your job is the angel investor for your passion.
That's brilliant. Yes.
And don't be like, well, I want to be my own boss. I'm gonna quit. No, let's not quit. Stay right there, because somebody needs to pay for that.
If we're going to quit, can we get an exit plan? Can we get a transition plan? You know what I'm saying?
And see, I'm thinking the same way you're thinking. I believe, Mark. Not everybody's passion and dream is going to pay you.
Lifestyle?
No.
And society can't withstand it. I always say, somebody's got to bust the tables, and I don't think that's everybody's passion. Thank God there are people who do it.
Right. And it may not be a passion, but you know, what do you learn when you're bussing the table? You get to ear hustle some really good information while
That's
you're.
right.
And I say we've all done something, to
Yeah,
build a life. And I
that's right.
think that's the thing. You Because a lot of times people come out of college, they want the life that their parents have, and they did not see the cinder block bookcases and
But
the
what it,
rollaway bed and that they started with. You know what I'm
and
saying? The riding a bicycle to work, so you can get the car. Even you know what I mean? They don't.
and what
They
it comes down
just
to for
happen.
me in that capacity
Hmm.
is, why are you doing what you are doing? Because so many people are asleep. And at some
Hmm.
point, if you don't wake up, the universe will wake you up. And that's not pretty when that happens. So it really comes down to, do you want to live or do you want to exist? Which then
Hmm.
requires you to step up and to define what that is. Who do you want to be? What do you want your life to look at? So, I talked about how people are so overwhelmed. Here's a place to start. If you start with nothing else, get out a piece of paper and list the things that you can no longer tolerate. What are the things that I no longer want? Just write down the left side of the page. And then in the same sitting, go back and just say, if I don't want this, what do I want? Play the opposites. Start there. And that begins
Hmm.
to create some space in your consciousness to allow things to begin to flow. You don't have to know what the vocation is,
Hmm.
not at that moment.
That's really good. That is really good. Not
You just
knowing
got
the
to know what
exact.
you don't want.
Because
I like that.
because everybody knows what they don't want. Listen, if you ask somebody about what they don't like about their life, they'll go on for 2 hours. So, you know, that's a door that's easy to open. Whereas the what do I want question, you often get people kind of, they edit themselves, or they're frozen, or they're stuck. It's not as free flowing for a lot of people.
Because
True.
they really don't know who they are, so they don't
Right,
know what they want.
And they
right,
haven't given themselves permission to be who they are. It's okay to want this. It's okay to, because they don't see it happening or they can't see it. It's that they can afford it, whatever their holdback is.
right. I don't deserve it, or that can't happen for me, or that's not
Exactly.
possible for me, or who am I to
Mhm.
think that I can have that? Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. All of that.
And that's all programming from one's environment, whether old environment where they grew up or one that
Mhm.
you're in now. It's somewhere you're getting fed that line of, okay, I was going to say something else. That line of information
Yes, thank you.
um, that does not it is not serving you.
Mhm.
That culture, the school of thought, your everybody's school of thought comes from their environment. And I like the list, Mark. I think it's a good idea. The list. On the left side, what you don't want. On the right side, sit down and figure out what do you want instead of that.
Mhm. It's like a plus delta of your life. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And it needs to happen every once in a while, especially if you're feeling like, why me? What is going on? Oh, wait a minute. Let's do the list.
Oh,
And let's
amen,
refer to it.
amen to that. Because people, when they don't revisit it, you
Mhm.
you fall into a habit, of something that was an old you, and an
Okay.
old desire in a world that has changed, in a job that has changed, in a company that has changed, in a you
Mhm.
that has changed. So if you don't revisit that, then you're going to experience, it's going to show up in a different capacity. In organizations, when I train there, it shows up where, um, like a penny drops off someone's check or something of that nature, and they become enraged and incensed, they get engaged in office gossip about this person that has nothing to do with them or their job. And what it's really often about is, again, they've forgotten why they're there. Your boss knows ostensibly why you're there in that position. But it is your job to know why you are there. You know, it's
Hmm.
not just about the position that you're holding, it's about what are you doing for me, corporation? In other words, how are you feeding me and what I'm trying to create? Yes, I have a responsibility to do the job for which I'm hired, but I also need to know what it is that I'm taking away from that. And if it's just to pay the bills, that's okay. Know that, but don't overinvest there.
Right. And Curtis says, yes, complaining about our lives comes super easy, but looking at the positive can be a chore and hard to quantify in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm liking the list. And
Well,
I think
And
the
that,
question,
I think the list should be up on the wall. It should be somewhere visible where you can edit it at will. I
right,
know in college I used to write on the dorm wall with black watercolor paint and just take and just write, you know, stuff to myself. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Whatever was on my mind because it was up there and I could see it. And of course I could wash it at the end of the year and you know, clean it
hey,
up.
listen, you know, you hear people talk about vision boards, and
Uh huh.
they are very powerful. I've had several clients do those. Again, another thing which people will resist, but where they do, you know, visuals of the kind of life that they're
Hmm.
trying to create, and the number of
Yes.
times, and keep it somewhere where it's always in sight. The number of
Yes.
times that those things come to fruition without the person really being conscious of that connection is astounding. It's amazing. So there's
Okay,
great
so,
power in that.
oh, you mean like write the vision and make it plain?
Your
Um,
mind will follow your words and your vision.
I
Well,
mean, I mean pictures, like cutting out pictures
Yes.
that are
Hmm.
representative
right.
of those things, as well as words.
Yeah,
Yes.
because words are pictures.
Yeah,
If you know, dog, we all see a different
right,
dog when we see
right.
the
There.
word dog, but
What?
it's still a picture. But you
Yes.
need to put it up there, and
It,
I like the fact that if you can actually get the visual of it,
even better.
it's even better. And you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
somebody needs to be real creative here and have an app for that where you can actually put
There,
Put
pictures.
in what.
I believe there are some. I've never used
I
them, but I
believe
believe
that's
there are
called.
some.
Isn't that called Pinterest? Because you can have a private board on that.
Exactly. Terry, you're right. Pinterest allows you to pin this, pin that, pin. Oh, okay.
And to find
But, and that
stuff,
just means that
you
you
pin
have to go back in there and look at
a,
the list,
and a
look
different
at what
purpose
it
for
is
it.
that you want.
Yeah. That's why I said, being able to just go in there and write on the wall. I don't have to find paper. I don't have to, take
Right.
down paper. I when I'm done with that thought, I can actually wash it off the wall, but it's there every time I walk in the room. And I think I'm going to do that in my office now. Some watercolor paint and because the whole thing of writing it out sort of is like doing calligraphy. You know what I mean? When you're
Yeah,
writing with a brush, it's different. It's mindful. It's conscious.
And I think,
And
whatever
it's a
helps you
method.
to, whatever helps you to get it out and see it, it needs to be done. Just, okay, let me write this out. Let me put this up. Um, I need to do
Let me
this.
listen to my life strategist.
Yeah.
well,
And
you
you know what
know,
I
when we
like
do,
that.
go ahead. Sorry.
I like life strategist instead of life coach. Oh my
I
gosh, there's so
really
many
do.
coaches. I was
I
like,
really like it.
Well, it's a different approach because I really tend to look at you and your goal almost as if we are taking a product to market. And where I differentiate myself in what is now a proliferated market, it wasn't so much when I started, is a lot of coaches, and this is not a dish, it's just a difference. A lot of coaches are a little bit more cheerleader oriented, and I
Mm-hmm.
am not. I'm honestly, I'm a bit of a I kick people in the butt. I just tell you up front. My concern is not about making you feel good. I want you to feel good by virtue of the results that you create in relation to the goals that you have set. Because we don't need to be spending our lives together. It's about, let us get this done. So I'm not your therapist.
See, okay, see now this is where we're going with this, because when you get bitch chicks, you get a cheerleader and a coach, because
And
sometimes
one
you
of us,
got to put them back together so they can get up and do the push-ups. Because some coaches, anyway,
well, and we're not really, we're going to help you. We help you in a different way.
yeah, because
Yes,
I did not major
Mark,
in
we got to
social
know
work.
why you,
Not, mhm. I'm
we
not
need to
doing
know
therapy.
why you do what you do. Why did you think? And I'm the one that asked you questions like, why did you say that? Why are you, who told you that? And what makes you think that? I have to ask that because they're
Right.
trying to do all of this over here. They're trying to get to six figures, but you got, the kitchen is so cluttered, you can't even see. You're trying to put more information in, and you're trying to bring in, I'm gonna make this great recipe, but the kitchen's a mess, and you're like, you can't bring another thing in here.
Right. Right.
So
Hmm.
if if you want to, we need to clear all of that out now. Now that the kitchen's clear, what do you want to do? And here are some, now that's when the strategies can happen and
Right.
things can work, because we got a clear canvas to work with. Not like, have you seen a hoarder's house? You can't bring
Mhm.
another thing in there. A hoarder, you just, it's
Oh, yeah.
like one more piece of mail goes in, it's like Jenga, it's going down. It's
Well,
you can't
that's
bring.
also that's a good that's the differentiation between what I do and a therapist as well. Because
Hmm.
people ask me that question, I'm like, a therapist helps you clean out the house. I help you decide what you want to put back in it.
Mm.
Ah,
So
that's
in other
nice.
words, see me after you finish.
Right, right. Sometimes, well, sometimes, part of the process of me working with people is the first session is separate from any work in sort of determining what people's
Yeah.
goals are, because it's generally not what people say. Um,
Hmm.
so in that process, I determine whether they are ready, in my opinion, whether I think it's feasible that we can do this together, because otherwise, what's the point in me taking their money if they're going to be dissatisfied and hate me in the process? So I have to decide that first. So I don't take everybody that comes
Yeah.
to me.
That's
But
good.
sometimes people do, I do require people to see a therapist in conjunction, depending on
Hmm.
where they are. You can get after doing this for so long, I can get a sense of people pretty quickly.
That's very good though. And in anybody who's watching this, if you're thinking about getting a coach or something, maybe you want to add, are you running to them for them to solve something for you? And if they're just taking your money, and you can feel the ickiness of, okay, well, just pay this. This the ones that's online where,
Hmm.
okay, pay $9.97 and you'll get the da 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 da, but you're not talking to any, you're not getting what you paid for. You don't, there's no sense of accomplishment
Progress.
or progress.
Right. It's imperative, and this is where I am absolutely anchored, is it is imperative that you have some measurable goals in some capacity, so that you're getting what you paid for, and I know that I'm giving you what you came for.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep. We
Oh,
gotta know what the
love it.
deliverables are. Yeah.
And if you can do that, then what's in your wallet will be a lot better,
Oh, amen. Yeah.
There
because
you go.
you're thinking more clearly. You've
Hmm.
overcome obstacles, and you can now continue that upward climb. And then something I realized too, even if you're on an upward climb, sometimes you get stuck like right here because it
Plateau.
was another choking point that crept up from your past life, or, well, that's too much money. Do you understand what I mean?
I do. Can I say something about that?
Sure.
One of the things that I have, people talk about fear of failure. I don't believe it exists. I've been working with many, 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 many people since 1998, and there is one fear that is prevalent, and it's not the fear of failure, it is fear of success. Because here's what you will notice with people. There are many people that will get almost to that final inning. They'll get really close, and then they will do something that sabotages the whole thing. And here's what it is, I believe, from my experience, is what if this dream, this desire that I have carried for so long is not it? What if it is not the thing? Then that brings my whole thinking, my whole life into question. That maybe I'm wrong about everything. So rather than facing that possibility, I will keep that at bay just this far so that I never have to know for sure and face the reality that I was wrong.
And so
Even though there's no such thing.
Yeah. And then we just stop breaks and we're not going any further.
Right.
And the thing that I always have to remind people, and this is another part of my work, and that I would remind everybody out there, is that there is no such thing as a mistake. There is no such thing as a mistake, because the worst thing that can happen is you realize that you could have made a more effective choice given your intention. And sometimes the only way to figure that out is through the pain of the ineffective choice, which gives you greater clarity. Everything that happens to you happens for you if you allow it.
Oh, like not being able to get on the plane that you wanted to get on and you had to go to a different city.
Exactly.
Right. This has been an outstanding conversation. Mark, we're going to have you come back and do another session.
Well, I'll dress for it next time.
Well, we appreciate you, stopping in, because I could not let that go by when you said life strategist. I was like, whoa, hold on.
Was that amazing? I was like, okay, I love that term.
Yeah, and it was, and this conversation is great. And Curtis says it's a great conversation. And I believe anybody watching this, go back and watch it from the beginning, or at least when Mark came into the conversation. This is good. What's in your wallet? Wherever your heart is, whatever's in your heart is in your wallet.
Yep.
So with that, we got First Mondays coming up tonight at 5 p.m. at Seasons 52. If you're in Sacramento area, come out and join us. It's no charge. Just come and enjoy the fellowship. And we have Michael Rowe coming to talk to us a little bit. And we also have Erin Sum coming. She's a confidence coach, and but not like you think. It was a different way. It was a little bit different approach. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And so we have Erin come in. We're going to have some great food, meet some great people, and come hang out with us a couple of hours at Seasons 52 on the Arden Fair Mall.
What time does it start, Fran?
5 p.m. 5 p.m. And on tomorrow, TJ will be here bringing us social media and digital marketing. She's a digital diva. I'm sure she's got lots to talk about based on what's been going on in the news. Wednesday, Coach Karen is here. Thursday, we'll be talking happy, healthy habits. Friday, we'll be talking tech. And then we'll be back next Monday for more coffee, thoughts, and conversations.
Sounds
like thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. And don't forget to go to the front of your own line. We love you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Mark.